Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV, church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Clovis, special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcast. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by Truth and Triumph Ministries.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We are going to have a quick discussion. Let me go ahead and get this information out here. Listen, there's a story that I saw happen here in Georgia about this lieutenant colonel lady. She is in the military, and she had her property up for sale. And unfortunately, she found out from her real estate agent that her property that was for sale was now occupied by a squatter. But it gets worse. Let me share this information with y'all. Thank y'all for being here today. Thank you for being on my channel. Make sure that you click like, click subscribe, click share. If you haven't already done so, please go over to my YouTube page, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. Subscribe today. We're going to be sharing information, news, and stories and stuff like this, plus a whole bunch of other things that we're doing on the channel, financial tips and advice, and all kinds of stuff that we're going to be happening over here. But this story I wanted to share with you guys real quick. Investors, real estate agents, please make sure you pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, as well as those of you who want to be investors or have properties that you want to rent or know people that are renting properties. There's warnings that you need to know. All right. I want to also say hello to all of you who are in the chat. You know, I like to greet y'all. Aaron was here bright and early. How you doing, Aaron? Thank you for being here. Listen, Aaron is on point. I posted this thing, and within a minute of me saying I was going to go live, Aaron was already over here doing this mod stuff that she does so well. Thank you for that so much, Aaron. You helped me to keep this channel going. Hey, Latoya, say hi to my nephew. Ask my nephew to call me when I get off live. Tell him to call me. Auntie needs some love. Auntie needs some love for my nephew, Justin. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Listen, Justin, I need some help over here. Look, I'm choking because my nephew ain't called me. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much for being here. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. Listen, let's jump into this story because I'm not going to be on here long. I'm not going to be on here long, but I want to share this story for you. Let me go ahead and bring up this photo of this person that I'm about to talk about. You guys, look at this photo on the screen. Look at this. You see this gentleman here? You see him on the screen? Those of you on Instagram, sorry I don't have the photo. Go over to my YouTube page and you'll see it. This guy on the screen here, it's not even a gentleman. This guy on the screen here, his name is Vincent Simon. Vincent Simon. He has occupied the property behind him without the owner's consent. Yes, he has. And he has not even been arrested yet. I want to read this story. It's coming out from, I believe this is Fox News coming out. I'm sorry, it's WSB TV. WSB TV. And it says this, and I'm going to share the video because there's a video of this as well. So I'm going to share that video. And it says here, she's saying Lieutenant Colonel Dahlia Dar is saying he's not a tenant. He's a squatter. So if you think, well, how in the world can this happen? How does this take place? How does somebody just go in your house and you tell the police they're not my tenants? I didn't rent the property to them. They're trespassing. They're in here illegally. Why do they not get removed from the property? Let me run this video for you guys first, okay? And then we're going to talk. Let me go ahead and get this over here, all right? Let's go ahead and share this story right here. Let's make sure this is coming up good on the screen here. And let's have a conversation.
While she was serving on active duty, and she only found out when a real estate agent was making final preparations to sell the house. Channel 2 consumer investigator Justin Gray is here. And Justin, that's when they found out someone else had moved in.
Well, Linda, they already had a buyer. The house was under contract. But last week, a convicted criminal moved his things into the home, claiming he had a valid lease.
Now, let me pause for a second and say this. They know he's a convicted criminal. They know he is a convicted criminal. Yet, he's still in her property. Let me go ahead and continue. Hey, Joseph. Thank you, Joseph, for helping me with this mod. Thank you. He says, hey, everyone, like and share, do it. I love it. Let's go ahead and continue with this. Y'all are going to be shocked at this.
He's not a tenant. He's a squatter.
There are beware of dog signs in some windows, cardboard covering others. A car in the driveway of Lieutenant Colonel Delia DeRay's Ellenwood home in DeKalb County, where someone she's never met moved in without her knowledge or permission and won't leave.
I felt violated. Had I not been serving my country, I would have been in my home.
DeRay is full-time active duty command staff with the Army Reserves stationed in Chicago. She was renting her DeKalb County home, but after a $35,000 renovation, put it up for sale.
I got a cash offer. It was under contract.
Now, for those of you who couldn't hear that, she said that she originally had it rented and then she decided to sell it. So the house was vacant. And after approximately $35,000 in repairs that she put into the property, she was like, okay, let me just go ahead and sell it. And then this guy moved in her property. Let's go ahead and continue.
That's when she says this man, Vincent Simon, apparently moved in, claiming this was his lease, that he'd paid $19,000 up front for 6 months.
All right, let's talk about that part. Let's talk about that part real quick. So he's claiming that he paid someone $19,000 for 6 months. That's what he's claiming with this alleged lease that he's producing. All right. Now, my question is, with a lot of these officers, they never want to ask, okay, show us proof that you actually paid this. They just show this paperwork. There's no, usually, I don't know in this particular case, but there's usually no evidence of money orders. There's, evidence of transfers. There's usually no evidence of cashier's checks, this type of thing. Just these simple documents. Okay. But let's go ahead and continue. But there's more. You got to hear this part. Hold on.
The police call the number that's on the lease. It doesn't exist.
DeRay.
That part, you guys. Did you hear that? She said the police called the number on the lease and the number does not exist. Let's go ahead because I got so much to say and I've got another story about a squatter I'm going to talk to you guys about also. Hold on.
Went to police who told her it was a civil matter. This week, she served Simon with eviction papers, but he has a right to respond and have the case heard by a judge.
I can't ask them to leave. I can't put them out.
Vincent Simon has a long criminal history, including convictions for guns, drugs, and theft charges. DeRay saw him moving giant safes into the house. Mr. Simon, it's Justin Gray with Channel 2. We went multiple times to the home to try to talk to Simon. Are you squatting in the home, Vincent, or did you rent it fair and square? DeRay says the sale of the home appears to be off. All she can do now is wait for the eviction process to play out.
I want to go shoot out the windows, turn off the water, cut the wires, but I can't. Because there's a law called self-help. That's a crime. I'm a law-abiding citizen, so I can't do that.
Now, you guys, there is so much to unpack here. So much to unpack. So, Fifi, how you doing, Fifi? Thank you for being here today. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Now, like she said, In some states, you cannot physically just remove an individual who claims to have a lease unless you can prove that the lease is not true or not valid or that it is a fake lease. I'm going to give you some information about that in this video as well that I found for you landlords. You're going to be happy to hear this part. But right now, she has to go through the process of what we call eviction. She physically has to evict the individual from her home, which means she has to possibly hire a lawyer. You can do an eviction yourself if you're a homeowner, but the best process is to go through a lawyer to go ahead and do that eviction process for you. She's got to pay the lawyer. She's got to also, if she has a mortgage on the home, she's going to have to still continue to pay her mortgage to keep her credit good. And get this, you guys, once all of this process takes place, and you normally don't know how long the process will be before you get your property back, she now has to worry about what does her property look like once she gets back possession of her property. What is the inside going to look like? And are her items that she left in the home, appliances, light fixtures, whatever other things in the home, are those items still going to be there when she gets back possession of her home? I've got some more on this story. Let me go ahead and continue to say hello to you guys and get these questions. All right. So Latoya says, how does he afford $3,200 a month? We would like to know that. We would like to know that, Latoya. And if he does afford $3,200 a month, why isn't he in a home that he can own instead of renting? And also, why doesn't he get a valid rental? And then get this, you guys, let's wager this question. What about this? When she came and said, hey, this is actually my home, you're not my tenant, I did not rent this to you, whatever lease you have is invalid, you know it's possibly a fraud because the phone number you said on there you tried to call was not working, then of course at that moment, wouldn't, if this individual was really legit, wouldn't he be like, well, if you're the real owner, let me possibly rent the property from you? No, they usually don't want to say that. You know why? Because they're frauds and they're not trying to pay anybody any money. So I'm alleging that he didn't even have this money that he claims that he gave. And again, where's the proof to show that you took this money out? Did you take it out of your bank account? Can you show the proof? Whose name did you make it out to? Where's that individual? And get this, the other question, as I would look at that lease and say, where are your monthly payments supposed to be going to? Is there an address on there? Who do we contact? There's so many questions that people can ask. But these people who are squatting, you normally don't want to ask those questions. Why? Because they don't have answers to them. So again, Latoya, good question. How does he afford $3,200 a month? Of course, you know. And then Fifi says this, civil, that's her house. How is this not burglary? Great question, Fifi. Here's the thing. In certain states, and the reason why I keep saying certain states because it varies state to state, but the majority of the states will state squatters' rights. There are things called squatters' rights, which is a terrible thing. I don't even know why they really exist, but I don't understand why they were established years ago. Years ago, if nobody took care of a property and it was there for so long and so forth or whatever, and somebody came over and they started maintaining the property, taking care of the property, and paying the property taxes on the property for so many amount of years, then they could officially deem the property that to belong to them, called squatters' right. They were taking care of it, maintaining it, so forth. Look it all up. It's all online. You can find all that information. That's just like a brief synopsis of it. However, people are now trying to go out here and claim squatters' rights illegally. But there's also ways that landlords can protect themselves from this, because tenants can't just move in one day and the next day claim squatters' rights. Oh, no, no, no. There's such things out here that landlords need to be aware of. If somebody claims that they've been in your property less than a certain amount of days, check with your county to find out what those days were. You as a landlord can legally have them removed from that property. This is why it's so very important for landlords and real estate agents who are working for landlords to maintain their eyes on a property. When I say maintain your eyes on a property, I mean this. Physically have someone go to that property and inspect it every day, every 2 days, or every 3 days. Do not let a property go unviewed for more than 3 days. 3 days is key when you're trying to deal with squatters. Okay? Key. You must keep eyes on that property. Other things that you need to do, make sure that the lawn is maintained. Squatters usually come into these properties if they see large grass growing up because they may feel that the home is abandoned. And if they have not seen anybody coming in and out of that property, they will oftentimes think that it's okay for them to go into these properties. So make sure that you're keeping your eye on property and that you are mowing the lawn. Another thing you may want to do is, if you're a landlord, you may want to contact your neighbors and let them know that your home is vacant and give them your number. And in the event that they see someone at that property, ask them to call you immediately and let you know if someone is at that property or if they see movement at that property. That way you're aware immediately if someone tries to take possession or is trespassing on your property. Also, get alarms. A lot of these properties, you need to have alarms on them and make sure that they're functioning alarms. Make sure that you're getting notifications with these alarms. And also, if you're working with a landlord or a property manager or a real estate agent, make sure that you keep in communication with them to check the status of your property, because sometimes these agents, real estate agents, and property managers get very busy if they have multiple properties, and they may not keep eyes on your property as often as they should. Okay, that's the other thing. So again, it is burglary, Fifi. I agree. Latoya also says this. Oh, also for landlords, you do not have to file this in your magistrate court when you file for an eviction to get someone removed from your property. Here's some information, not just for squatters, but for regular tenants. You also have the ability, because sometimes magistrate court, which normal people, you would file your eviction through magistrate court. Sometimes magistrate court takes way too long to process. Cases take way too long to be heard. All that time, these people are still in your property. Landlords, real estate agents, and property managers, you have the ability to also file your regular dispossessory cases, which are eviction cases, through state court in your local area. You can file through state court. Why would you want to file through state court? Because state court is faster in most cases and it's more aggressive. Okay, so you may want to do that. File in state court, the dispossessory. So Latoya says, who's to say the paperwork is valid? Again, the paperwork is not valid in this particular case and probably not in several other cases. Now, let's just go on a scenario like Latoya said. Maybe the paperwork is valid. Once that individual is confronted with the real owner and they try and produce this paperwork to say, hey, this is mine, and you realize that you have been scammed, you now should really try to work out something with that home owner. In one case, I remember I dealt with an individual with one of my investors, had this same type of case, a squatter. And what we had to do is we spoke with the individual and we had to inform them, listen, we don't know who you dealt with, but in the same scenario as this, the phone number was incorrect. No phone number wasn't working at all. This individual, this investor, offered for the individual to go ahead and pay him monthly on the home to help that person out. Well, get this. They declined. They said they didn't want to do that. Now, if you're in a property, you paid 1 month rent and a security deposit, your next month rent is due, the real owner is there, the phone number you have on your lease is incorrect, you can't reach anybody, and the real owner is giving you an opportunity to stay, and you're saying, no, I don't want to pay anybody, I just want to go to court, that lets me know that you've dealt with this before. You've done this before. And in that particular case, there were several evictions on that person's name. So, Latoya, it may be right. And there are some cases where some people actually do get scammed. But when you are confronted with the police and the real owner and the real estate agent that's saying this is the real owner, and you're not willing to cooperate with the real owner, then that lets us think you might have something to do with this continuing thing of squatters. So I get what you're saying, Latoya. And there are some that have been taken advantage of. And there's been some happy scenarios where people did work with the real property owners and they got to stay in some of these properties. However, a large majority of them are not that nice. So Latoya says, and she has to pay movers to put his stuff out also. She will have to hire what's called a RIT crew, WRIT, crew, to remove that once the sheriff office comes and remove his belongings if he has not moved out already. Yes, that is more expenses that she would have to pay. Fifi says, I saw this story. This is terrible. It is terrible. It is. Eddie says, yes, I saw that on the news yesterday. Made me so angry. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Yes, I was really, really upset. I did reach out to Miss Dahlia Dare. I found her on her Facebook page. I reached out to her, offered her an opportunity to come on the platform to tell her side. Haven't heard her respond back. She may be back at the military because she is in the military. She is still on active duty. So, we're just praying that she gets her property back really quick. Eddie says it happened to a friend of mine 9 years ago. He said it took almost a year to get the people out of the house. That's terrible. That's terrible, Eddie, that something like that, a year, somebody's in your house. That's awful. All right, let's look at this other story I want to share with you. Here's another story I'm going to share with you here. Let me just share this screen because here's another person. He said he couldn't even get the squatters out. Look at this. And this story was, it says they broke into his house and he couldn't remove her. Oh my gracious. Broke into his house and he could not remove them. All right, so look at this one. All right, so here we go. Let's add this to the screen here. And here is this story here. Now, this story comes out of Florida. Now, here's the individual here. You can see her on the screen. This is the individual there. This is the individual there on the screen there that we're going to be talking about right here. This is the person we're going to be talking about right here. All right. So this one says here, this story, this just happened. This is from WSVN. This is from WSVN. It says with rent soaring, an increasing number of people are finding an empty house, breaking the locks and moving in. It can take months in civil court to evict somebody. Now that's the part that I was telling you, months in civil court. That's why you don't want to do civil court. You want to go to state court. Okay. State court oftentimes is faster. I can't guarantee it. I can't put a guarantee because it varies depending on your state. But civil cases, there are a lot of civil cases. Remember, we're just coming off of COVID where a lot of people could not pay their rent, got backed up, and the courts are packed with people who can't catch up, and landlords are trying to get them out. There was that whole moratorium thing that happened where landlords couldn't evict. And then when it came time when landlords could evict, there was a backlog of people having to file evictions. And so the civil courts are backed up. So that's why you have to have the information to go to the state court and see if they can get you processed a lot faster. All right. So it says here, it can take months in civil court to evict somebody, but Help Me Howard with Patrick Fraser found a little known state law to help one South Florida man. So you guys listen up, because here's a little state law that every landlord and real estate agent need to know. It says, as a detective knocked and the locksmith drilled the door, Sam could only watch. Now, Sam is the individual that owns a property. And it says here, Sam says, I was thinking the worst, concrete down the pipes. Now, you guys are like, what happened? Yes, there are some tenants, squatters, that because they're angry, they have to get out of a home they don't even own, that they weren't even supposed to be there. They do stuff like this. They will destroy the property out of anger. All right. So it says here, in this article, he says, let's move back to last week. Sam arrived at his investment property where he was confronted by a woman who had broken the locks on his doors and moved in. Sam Drun said, I get jumped by two teenage boys and this woman screaming at the top of her lungs. her sons attacked him, or whoever these guys were, whoever the boys were, they attacked him. All right. Terrible. They attacked him. Then he says the woman named Shanaria Josie pulled a lease out of her pocket and told police she had rented the house from a woman she couldn't contact. She could not contact. Pause. Who in the world lives in a house with a lease in their pocket? How many of y'all are in your house and you have a lease? You have the lease in your pocket. So the moment somebody shows up at the door, you got the lease in your pocket to pull it out. Who does that? Nobody, except squatters. Squatters who are not supposed to be there. All right, let's read the rest. It says, also she said on here, from a house from a woman she couldn't contact. Again, another sign. Why are these people saying they can't contact these landlords? You sign a lease with somebody, you say you gave them money, and now you can't contact them? Wouldn't you think that's suspicious? Okay, let's continue. Then it says this. He says, Sam says, how many people run around with a lease in their house in their pocket? Some of it was printed, signed by a Miss Ramos or something, not even my name. The North Miami Police Department told Sam they couldn't determine if the lease was fake, and Sam would have to sue Josie in small claims court. Police said she could stay in the house and Sam had to leave. He's the owner. But they said he had to leave. Now, Sam said this. He said, and she starts screaming and yelling, "You're not the owner. This is my house. Leave." That's what she's yelling to the owner. She's telling him he's not the owner to leave her house. What kind of nonsense is this? Right? So here we go. Let's continue. And then he says, Sam was stunned. Sam's the owner. He says, my stomach dropped. And then get this. It says it got worse. As we started digging, we discovered Shanaria Josie had been through the eviction process 9 times. All right. Let's pause right there. I think in police departments and law enforcement, I know they don't know all the laws. It takes a lot to know all the laws for real estate because, listen, real estate agents have to go through whole classes, attorneys, and all that stuff. A lot you have to learn. So I understand they may not know all the laws and they don't want to get involved in illegally removing somebody from a property. However, when an owner comes over and says, these people are in my house illegally, I don't know who they are, they're squatters, and then actually can show proof that these people have several evictions on record. Why can they show proof? Because it's public record. Once an eviction is filed, goes to court, it's public record. So this individual, Sam, says, listen, he dug up and saw she's got 9 evictions. So show that to the police and we should be able to get these people out of the home. But you guys, it wasn't that easy. Look at this. It says she had been through the eviction process 9 times. He says, Sam and I both spoke to one landlord who went through the long civil route to evict Josie. Okay, so Josie's been through this before. She's been squatting before, allegedly. So then Sam says, and then he said, on her way out, she dumped concrete down his pipes. The same tenant or squatter, not tenant, the same squatter that's in Sam's house, he spoke to another landlord that she was in his house. They had a conversation because, again, this information is public record. You can find out who the person was that filed the eviction. So allegedly, this is what Sam did. He found that out and he had a conversation with them and found out that this same individual that's in his house was in this other man's house. And get this, you guys, he said that she dumped concrete down his pipes. And he said that it cost him over $100,000 to repair. $100,000 to repair squatter damages. All right, there's more. But Howard said the civil route was not the only route. This is where landlords, investors, property managers, you guys need to pay attention to this information. Civil route to evict is not the only route. Okay. Check your local states, your local attorneys, speak to them and ask them if they know about this particular scenario here. It says, Howard Finkelstein, 7 News legal expert, there's a little known state statute that allows the police to remove squatters immediately if the owner signs an affidavit swearing that the occupant is not a renter and has no legal rights to be there. There's an affidavit that you can sign swearing that they're not supposed to be there. That affidavit will help you get these squatters out of your properties faster. So the writer here says, I contacted Shaneria Josie. She didn't want to talk to me. This is Howard Finkelstein. She did not want to talk to me, but I left left a message telling me to stay off the property. So Shaneria told Howard Finkelstein to stay off the property. She also said this. She says, I live a private, conservative life on Christ. Girl, bye. Girl, really? That's what she said. That's what the article says she said. This is the other part that let me keep reading. She says, I rented this property out from someone and I'd appreciate it if you all do not trespass back on the property. Thank you. But after Sam signed the affidavit, now Sam is fighting back because Howard Finkelstein is helping him. Sam fought back, the owner. He says, after Sam signed the affidavit, Miami-Dade police would give Josie the surprise as they came to toss her out. When police opened the door, only Josie's dogs were inside. A detective called her and told her to come get her property out of Sam's house. She showed up again, wavering a so-called lease. But police did not buy her story. And then Josie turned her anger at Sam. And the story goes on to say, and Sam says, and the officers, Sam drew it, and the officers came, sir, you're going to have to step away, stay outside. We know this is your house, but we don't want a confrontation. The organized crime unit also asked us to hide their faces and stay back to avoid the camera irritating Josie. She first bought out her dogs, then called a friend with a pickup truck. Police were inside watching as she removed her furniture. When they drove off, Sam and I were allowed to go back into the house. Now, Sam says this, I'm praying, please, please, nothing, no concrete toilet pipes, no damage in the appliances, but unfortunately, there was damage. There was damage. Sam said, oh no, my God, I don't really want to go in there. The shower looks disgusting. If you flush the toilet, water bubbles up in the shower. Turns out grease was poured down the drain. Oh my goodness. Oh. All right, let me continue and then I'll get you guys comments. Sam said, I'm nervous about that. Yeah, that worries me more than the baseboard because actually there was something on the baseboard here. He says, unbelievably, every single baseboard, look at this everywhere. In just a few days, the baseboards were ripped, probably by the dogs. All the smoke detectors were pulled out. And I'm going to tell you why they usually pull out the smoke detectors. They usually, people who are squatting, or even sometimes tenants do this too. They usually will disconnect the smoke detectors because they smoke in the home and the smoke detectors will go off. And they don't want the noise. So they usually would go in and remove the smoke detectors. All right. He said the back door was destroyed. And Sam had to board it up. And then we go into the bathroom with the toilets and messing up. He says, I'm nervous about basically how much it's going to cost and so forth. He said a plumber cleared the line, reminding Sam if he had gone through the slow civil route instead of the state quick law to remove people, he would have been in bad shape. And then it goes on to say, I think the surprise, they were not ready for this. And I think that saved me. If I would have gone through the system civilly, that would have given them plenty of time to do whatever they wanted to do before they were made to leave. Police left a no trespassing sign on the window. If the woman returns, she will be arrested. Again, now here's another good tip for you guys, landlords, property owners, investors. Put no trespassing signs on your windows. Now, is it going to stop every person? It may not. but it's also another indication that you're trying to do your best to get these people not to enter into your property, right? And again, she's going to be arrested, okay, if she comes back. Sam also said this, and I'm very pleased to have found you guys. You know, Help Me Howard, you guys have been exceptional. I mean, I would not be standing here today if it's not for you guys. Sam can now walk into his house. Glad things worked out. And then it says the law that Sam used to get rid of those people doesn't work in normal landlord-tenant evictions. This is not a normal landlord-tenant eviction, okay? It is designed to get rid of squatters and to remove unwanted house guests who won't leave. If you have those problems, call the police, show them that state law. It's at the end of the story. And I've dropped the link in the description on this video. So you who are landlords, investors, property owners that want that information, I dropped the link. So it's in my description. And it shares that information as well. So and I also dropped the link in here from the attorney that shared the information about this on the news station. That's in this description as well for you if you need that. Okay. So you who are landlords, property owners, investors, real estate agents, you no longer have to wait the long civil case. There's this statute that you can sign. Make sure and check and see if it's in your state, in your city. See if you can get a lawyer that's familiar with it. And I would say speak to your legal team that you have to make sure that they're aware of this as well. If you have a security team, make sure that they become very aware of it so that, you know, we can get this ball rolling so that other people can be aware. No longer do you probably have to wait all these long days for this civil cases to take place. Okay, so we're going to try and keep a watch on this story and other stories. There are so many cases out here where people are squatting, and I understand that there are some people that unfortunately have come upon some hard times and they don't have anywhere to live, and they may break into some homes to get a place to lay their head, and they don't mean any harm, but they're basically homeless. I understand that process, but when the owner comes, instead of trying to be aggressive or be rude with the owner, try to work with that owner, because that owner could probably help you as an individual to get a solid place for you to lay your head instead of all the lying. Now, the lying and the false documents and the fraudulent activities and tearing up homes and destroying properties that you don't own is all part of what's pushing landlords to not want to help real individuals who are in need. So when you come across a landlord or a property owner or a real estate agent or a management company, and you feel as though they're not trying to help some of these people out here, understand this. They have probably gone through something where they have had to put thousands and thousands of dollars into something like removing a squatter, court, or attorney's fees that they didn't want to have to do, or repairing the property. So don't be so hard on these landlords when these cases come up with these squatters. Have an understanding to know that there's a reason why they may not be as willing to cooperate with some of these other squatters and individuals. And there are some establishments and organizations out there that can help some people who are homeless. But if you come across somebody who's a squatter and they're not willing to work with the individual when they say you are the real owner, then know this: they're not there to try and work out anything good. They are probably there for all evil. All right. Sorry that, it takes place, but it does. And I'm hoping that things can change where all of this can stop happening like this. Latoya says this. Latoya says, and how crazy people are nowadays. Should a landlord even confront them? Now, you know what? Landlords do have to be careful confronting anybody, because like Sam said, the two guys jumped him. And, his life could have been taken, or their life, vice versa, because a lot of landlords carry weapons because they've dealt with so much. So a lot of landlords are not coming empty-handed, especially people who've been experienced and have gone through a lot of stuff. And also, occupants, they may have weapons. So, it is crazy what happened. But I do not think that any landlord should be going to inspect a property alone. I never recommend that. Also, when it comes to evicting people, I would recommend that landlords and property owners or mom and pop landlords or even major real estate companies hire security teams to go to the properties with them on every eviction. It's just a matter of making sure that everybody stays safe. And there are security companies out there that will offer their services for that. There are security companies out there that will offer their services to go and check your properties on a regular basis. So, the landlord don't have to do that. And so, they can contact those companies as well. We have several that we work with as well also. Eddie says, saw another story on the news where this lady let someone homeless move in with her and couldn't get her out. The lady even put a lock on one of the bedroom door. That's another thing, Eddie. I cannot understand why people do that, especially with strangers. And the laws are against the owners in those type of cases also. When you allow someone to move into your property, just having to tell them to move out is not that easy, because there are laws that will prohibit you from having them removed from the property. Legal cases have to then be drawn up. Money has to be spent. Lawyers have to be spent. And like Eddie said, the sad part is you are now living in your home in fear. Be very careful with who you decide to let in your property. I would not advise it. I know the hearts of people want to help a lot of people, but understand this: if they're out there alone, maybe there's a reason why they're out there alone. And if you want to help, maybe the next best thing that you can do is find some organizations that are local that can offer some assistance for them. A lot of churches are still helping people in need. There's a lot of homeless places that are helping, and organizations that are out there that can help some of these individuals. But your safety is more important. And a lot of times you need to make sure that you put your safety first before moving somebody into your property. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Aaron. Hey, thank you so much. And Latoya says, not without an escort. That's right. Got to have an escort. Always have an escort with you. Somebody on call that you can call. Hey, Jill's Chocolate Boutique. How you doing? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you for being in the chat. All right, you guys. So that's my brief little story on what happened with these squatters. I'll try and cover more stuff like this because, I like the real estate and like to share the information and everything. And I will be doing more of that, more of these hot news topics and stuff like that and having the commentary on it. But I wanted to share that information with you guys. Share this video with someone that you know. I'm sure that all of you may know of someone that's a landlord or maybe a property owner and they're considering renting their property, or the majority of you may know real estate agents that are in the business. Listen, even if they are not renting properties or real estate agents, they're just maybe selling the properties, then give them this video also. They need to know this information because a lot of times, just like Ms. Dahlia in the first video I showed you, her property was vacant and it was listed with a real estate company for sale. She had a cash offer. And unfortunately, because the squatter was there, her deal is on hold or either going to be canceled because of this. So share this information with others, especially a lot of these real estate agents. Share it. They need to know it, even if they feel as though, hey, it's not my, I don't deal with rentals, but you still deal with properties that may become vacant and they need to know this information. All right. You don't have to wait to have these squatters out of here. There is fast stuff now. Sign that statute. Make sure you get that information. I'm going to get the information, try and go state by state to get the information and drop the link in our community tab on our YouTube channel. I'll drop that information in our community tab. You can also go to thejuicecommunity.com, thejuicecommunity.com, and I'll be putting information in there as well. Thank you, Jill's Chocolate. Thanks. She said, great live, very informative. Thank you so very much. Remember, y'all go ahead and y'all subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, and make sure you hit that notification bell to be reminded when we go live. We have some more stories coming up soon, but y'all have a great evening tonight. Y'all stay blessed and stay safe out there. And remember, guard yourselves and get the wisdom that y'all need to make sure that these things, if they happen, you be ready to get those people out your property. All right. Y'all stay blessed. Have a great evening. Bye.
Do you enjoy smooth jazz saxophone? TD McCullum has 2 singles available with more to come. The first is an original song called Groove With Me, featuring the classic sounds of Washington, D.C. go-go and his smooth jazz saxophone. The second is called Drunk on Love, a smooth jazz saxophone cover of Rihanna's Drunk on Love from her 2011 Talk That Talk album. Both are available on all major streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube Music, and more. Add them to your favorite library and playlist today. And follow Tyrone on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Mr. TD McCullum for your music and bookings. JoJo Speaks is a YouTube channel that goes live every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. with hot topics and social commentary. Come join the Light of the Leo, Mr. TD McCullum, and our good friend Mike, Mr. Real 121, for fun and JoJo's unique spin on today's top stories. Go to YouTube, subscribe, like, share, and comment. If you are struggling to figure out who you are and where you're heading, but need a little light to bring you back on track, subscribe to the Light of the Leo for some healing and real conversation. Here is where you will find encouragement and the reminder that you are not alone. Continue your journey to freely be yourself at all times with the Light of the Leo. She goes live Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with her co-host, accountability partner, and little bro, JoJo Speaks. Join Faithful Warrior Ministries for our family and friends Saturday morning prayer. Every Saturday morning at 10-ish a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a great time catching up, sharing testimonies, and having transparent, real conversations about life. We encourage each other and show how we can fit God into each equation of our lives. Enjoy a devotional reading and family prayer. You have a prayer family with Faithful Warrior Ministries. Subscribe on YouTube at Faithful Warrior Ministries, and on Facebook, like us at Faithful Warrior Men. That's M-I-N as in Ministries. Join Pastor Lorenzo Evans and Living in Grace Ministries. The messages are not social media driven. They teach what's true and not what's popular. Living in Grace Ministries goes live every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube to Living in Grace Ministries and click on the notification bell. Pastor Lorenzo also has It Takes a Village podcast on the first and third Saturday of each month, pushing to bring back the village concept. We are more powerful when we are united. Together we stand, and division is not an option. A heartfelt thank you to all of our subscribers who joined us for this video. If you have not already subscribed, go to our YouTube channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. Subscribe and click on the notification bell to be alerted whenever we go live. Join our private Juice community. Go to www.thejuicecommunity.com and sign up for free. Follow us on our podcast channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show Podcast, streaming on all podcast platforms. A great big thank you to our podcast production company, Noye Podcast Productions. They can help you create your own podcast also. Contact them today at houseofnoye.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Custom Apparel Shop. Have them complete your embroidery work and silk screening needs. Do you need a logo created for your fashion apparel or company? Contact Israel Mason today. That is 786-657-7501. Thank you to our main sponsor, Truth and Triumph Ministries. Truth and Triumph Ministries, a ministry that cares about telling people the truth so they can triumph in life. Thank you, Truth and Triumph Ministries, for all you do.